we've got to figure out how we move from the rhetoric to a meaningful reality that puts us on higher ground.
Preach.
That we have got to be at a tipping point in this nation where we see some change. Otherwise, we'll be back here, panel after panel after panel after panel, and this time, we got to figure out how we put an anchor in the ground. I'm passionate about this. So we've got work to do. Now, if anybody just here to be entertained, I told you, act like you in church. Put your finger up and just leave. You know how you go tipping out? Tipping out. I grew up in a Southern Baptist church. Don't act like y'all don't know. So I'm assuming that you're staying. You are here for business because we got a little time, but we're going to get a lot done today. Does that work?
All right.
History has not stopped repeating itself, and so we've gathered some of the brightest minds and people who know firsthand, who have lived this. I'm not going to read what they got me to say. Have lived what we are reading about. And so I want to give each panelist 2 minutes to just say why it's important that you be here. And so, Attorney Crump, you lucky duck, you're the only man on the panel today. You lucky man.
Thank you, Jack.
I'm going to start with you for those 2 minutes, and then we'll alternate back and forth, left to right, until everybody is finished. Does that work? Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Crump.
Yes, ma'am, Judge. I follow orders well. Before I start, I just want to applaud Judge Hatchett because even back when we were doing Trayvon Martin, and it seems like a long time ago, but it was just 5 short years this February, it was people like Judge Hatchett who reached out and said, I know I'm a TV judge, I'm a celebrity, but Ben, let me know whatever we can do, because that could have been any of our children walking home that night in that gated community. And I never forgot that, because that was before President Obama said if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon. And, Judge, the one thing I will say in these 2 minutes is, as I traverse America fighting the legalized genocide, trying to expose it of colored people, the one thing I always remember is what Attorney General Eric Holder told me. When we started having that conversation about Trayvon Martin and the fact that this has been happening for decades, and now we have to make it a part of the American conversation, not just the African-American conversation. This affects all of us. And I think so passionately about when we go in those courtrooms and they intellectually justify sweeping our deaths under the rug. We have to fight back and say, hold on, just because you all say it's legal, that don't make it right when you keep killing our boys and girls, black and brown, over and over again. So Dr. King talked about in that letter from the Birmingham jail that it really is about the moral justification. Don't tell me just because it's legal, it's right. Everything they did to the Jews in Germany was legal. It really comes down to our children's lives matter too. And we have to fight this battle in and out the courtroom. So we thought that Trayvon would be the last one, then Michael Brown, then Eric Garner, but now we got Philando Castile, we got Terrence Crutcher, which I call Hands Up, with a video. And y'all remember Futeville Station? That was before Trayvon, Judge Hatchett. And you keep thinking, when is it gonna end? How many videos do we have to show you to let you know that the police are using excessive force when it comes to people of color? The white individuals have domestic disputes and everything. Tiffany was sharing with me, Ms. Castile, all these videos of white citizens with guns and knives, hitting police, kicking police, spitting on police. And yet they can bomb buildings, they can shoot up malls, they can shoot up churches, and for whatever reason, they're always taken alive.
That's right.
But yet, when a black man says, I have a gun in the glove box,
That's right.
you want me to get my registration? I'm telling you, I got a gun. When Terrence Crutch is walking away with his hands up, you see a slow motion documentary of another brother being killed by the police. And so I was saying conclusion, Judge, and I beg permission of the court to exceed my 2 minutes. I wrote a piece on Time magazine saying, thank you, Your Honor, because I want to make this case for the jury real clear. I wrote a piece for Time magazine called The Danger of Being a Black Man with Car Trouble. You all remember, Judge, and I know we talked about it, Jonathan Farrow in Charlotte, North Carolina, got in a car accident, needed a helping hand, the police came and killed him. Corey Jones, who we represent in Palm Beach, Florida, the church drummer, who was broke down on the side of the road on the phone with the tow truck. Undercover officer comes in a white truck, jeans, t-shirt, and a cap, and approached him at 3 in the morning. He needed a helping hand. They gave him a bullet. And thank God the tow truck company was recording, because you can imagine how the narrative would have been.
That's right.
And
Right.
lastly, a month ago, as Judge Hatchett said, Tiffany Crutcher, brother, her twin brother, and think about that bond. They came in the world together 3 minutes apart, and now she has to go through this world without him. But he broke down, and he was on the side of the road, needed a helping hand. He got a bullet in the lungs, and for 2 minutes, they watched him bleed out. But what's so telling, when he's walking with his hands up, you hear the helicopter police officer say, he looks like a bad dude. They didn't know anything about him. He hadn't committed a crime. He had not done anything for the police to prejudge him. All he needed was a helping hand, and they gave him a bullet. So what we have to do, we have to say to our police officers, there is no articulable reason to use excessive fatal force when we got video documentation. Somebody has to be held accountable.
That's right. That's right.
Well, first, let me just say it's an honor to be here. And Judge Hatchett, I want to thank you for all that you do for this movement. And to all of the other panelists, it's definitely an honor to be connected to women of strength. And, you know, when this first happened, you know, so many times we sit back and we just kind of watch things happen, and we don't really rise up and speak out. And, you know, I followed all of these stories and didn't really understand, but I felt their pain. But now I truly understand what you all have been going through. And so I had to make a decision. And that's what we all have to do here today. That's why we're here. We have to get mad. And MAD means, M-A-D means make a decision to rise up and speak out. Because when we don't make a decision, we make a decision, and we give situations like this permission to live. Wow. And it's time for us to make these situations die. And so we have to get mad, and you know, I'm really here for our young men and women of color, the babies. You know, and back in my hometown of Tulsa, Oklahoma, we were able to listen to their feedback. And it reminds me of that letter that Martin Luther King wrote when he was in the Birmingham jail, and he talked about his little girls asking, why do white people hate us so much? And in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a few weeks ago when my brother was gunned down, that same question was asked by our babies. Why do white people hate us? Why do the police hate us? And so what's going on right now, they're already at a psychological disadvantage. They're afraid to get their driver's license. They're trying to ask why, you know, why? And so we have to fight for our babies. We have to fight for their futures and let them know that they do matter. And they matter. And so that's why I'm here, because I have a lot of
young male cousins that are afraid right now. And so we have to rise up, and it's hard to speak out. It really, really is, because we're afraid of what the people at our job are going to say. You know, we're educated. We don't want to, ruffle any feathers. It's hard to speak out, but it's also hard not to speak out. And so what we have to do today is get mad, make a decision to choose your heart. What heart will you choose today? What heart will you choose today?
I want to thank the judge for having this panel come together and what she's been doing for my family as well. And I want to thank all the people on the panel. Even though we're here under some unfortunate circumstances, we have to be here so that we can get the message out that there has to be change. My son was crucified in his car. His seatbelt was the cross. His hair was the thorn crown. The bullets were the nails. My son was crucified by doing the right thing. Where on this planet do you tell the truth and you be honest and you end up dead? Now you think about all the African American men that are childbearing age that have been killed. Okay, we're gonna say 2,000. And these young men can have 5 children apiece. So you multiply that 2,000 by 5, and that 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, and how many black kids will not be born in the United States of America? Enough is enough. My son died for telling the truth. He was licensed to carry a gun. I know everything about my son, and what happened to him should not happen to another human being. We're all human, and we all deserve to be treated as humans with dignity and respect. So what my focus is today is I'm working closely with the governor of the state of Minnesota and all of his officials in order to make change in our city. And hopefully what we're doing by having this, the commission come together, we can get together and come up with some solutions, some type of policies, some type of laws that can be changed that will help us as a people. But I'm just here today to say that we're all human. We should all be able to coexist on this planet together. No one is better than the other person. We all need to have the same opportunity.
Ms. Johnson.
Thank you so much for allowing me just to be on this panel. And I thought about what you said, church is tomorrow. But is it all right if I just speak a little bit today?
Oh, yeah.
And so I just want to say I thought about...
No, that was for the audience questions.
Okay.
That wasn't for you.
All right.
That wasn't for y'all.
Okay.
That was for the questions being short. You take your time.
Many of us read the Bible and we understand that God created man and woman. He didn't say he created black and white. He didn't say that there was a difference, but he created male and female. And so because of that, I think about how Oscar lost his life. But in the process of losing his life, God created a ministry. And that ministry that he is using Oscar and myself for is to encourage other people. And I say to each of you, don't wait until it knocks on your door. You can act right now. And I encourage you, those that are in the fight, to understand that the race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but to the one who endures to the end. And so because this race is a battle that we're facing, we must understand that no matter what it looks like, we got to keep yelling, we got to keep sharing, we got to keep telling that we are valuable. We have been created uniquely for a purpose, and our young men have gifts and talents and ability within them that they can be presidents, they could be whatever they want to be. And until we as a people begin to say that and begin to stand up, not waiting till it happens and knocks on our door, but standing up right now and saying we should be treated equal, that we should be given the opportunities that others, that when our children have a confrontation with the police, they should be able to walk away from it just like anyone else is walking away.
Yes, yes.
That's right.
You know, this causes a fight in me. She said a passion. It causes a fight in me that we must understand that we have to stand up and speak out and hold people accountable, officers accountable for the actions that they have committed against our children. You know, the person who killed my son was only given 11 months in county jail. When the judge sat on the bench and said, oh, I made a mistake. I gave the jury the wrong instructions. So I'm going to throw out the gun enhancement charge. And I'm only going to give him 11 months. I'm going to give him a year for time served. You know what that told us? Is that not only do we have to fight against the police, but we got to fight against this entire system to get it right, to let them know that we are somebody and we are created for a purpose.
Whoa, thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Giving honor to God, who is first in my life. And I would like to thank Judge Hatchett, one of my favorite judges on the TV. Thank you so much for moderating today. Well, my name is Gwen Carr. I am the mother of Eric Garner. We all seen the video, which I haven't seen it in its entirety because I just can't look at it. But you know, that day that video, the day my son died, it almost killed me also. I thought that I would take to my bed and just wait until this awful nightmare was over. But you know what? It was never over. It was worse than a nightmare because I never woke up. But you know, I laid there, I didn't comb my hair, I didn't take a bath, I didn't do any of these things because I just wanted to give up. But by the everlasting strength of God speaking to me and asking me, well, are you going to lay there and die also, like your son, or are you going to get up out of that bed? So by the help of the Lord, my family, the National Action Network with Al Sharpton, who has helped me from day one to now, I was able to get up out of that bed and turn my mourning into a movement, turn my sorrow into a strategy. And now my pain, it's become a powerful purpose. And I'm out here, I'm going to walk, rally, talk, not only for my son or the rest. It's too late for our sons and our loved ones. But we have children, we have the young, the unborn that we have to protect. And the only way we're going to do that if we come together as a people. No, my son didn't get any justice. I didn't get any justice because to add insult to injury, there was no indictment. Even though the world seen my son be murdered on camera, I got no justice. But that's okay because God sees all. He sits high and he looks low. Okay. So I decided from that day, I was not going to shut up. I wasn't going to sit down. Wherever I'm needed, I'm going to be. And we don't need any other mothers in this club. But unfortunately, when they join, we are here for them. We lean on each other. We stick together. I know I'm part of the mother of the movement, but there are thousands of mothers of the movement. Yes. All the mothers out there without pain is a mother of the movement. And mothers, we have to start moving, okay? And we have to stick together as a people. What's wrong with us? We don't stick together. We get mad for a moment. We see that our children are being killed. We get out, we get mad, we rally, we do all of this, and then all of a sudden, you just calm down. It's yesterday's news. But it's our life. We live this every day. We wake up thinking about our children. We go to sleep thinking about our children. It's not a moment for us, it's a movement. So we have to do this, and we have to do it together. And you know, the black on black crime has to stop. When we come together as a people, think about what you're going to shoot this next individual about. It's about nothing most of the time. So we got to learn, even if we don't like each other, we have to respect each other. We got to stop this genociding. Enough is enough, as the sister said. And, you know, don't just wait for the legislators to do something for us. We got to start it ourselves. Me, myself, I wasn't so interested in voting, so interested in who was my legislator, who was my congressman. That didn't even bother me because I was a low-key individual. But after my son's death, I found out who everybody was and what their function was and who do I go to when I need help. And I am so glad I did. Me and other New York mothers, we went knocking on the door of Governor Cuomo and asked for an executive order for a special prosecutor. Us mothers did that. We didn't know what was going to happen to us, but we decided to step out of the box. We went up in Albany in the snow, in the cold, knocking on doors, taking makeshift coffins up there, sitting them in front of the governor's door. This is what you got to do when you're serious, when you in a movement, not a moment.
Whoa! Whoa! Yeah, you need to get on your feet for every one of these women. Get on your feet. I am, and I'm just going to keep it real with you, I was sitting at home. The night before, it was Alton Sterling. Then the next night, it was Philando Castile. And I was home. I have two sons who are bookends to Philando. And I had to get to the point of where I had to say, I can't sit here cursing at the TV anymore.
That's right.
That I had to step beyond where I am and really say, here I am. You know, it's like you have to step up and say, here I am. And so I counted a privilege to be representing Ms. Castile, but I hear you, my sister. And actually, I'm in conversations with a group of civil rights lawyers in Chicago where we're talking about forming an alliance that we ought to be having a brain trust on how to do this. Because, see, when I call a press conference, Ms. Castile will tell you, everybody show up.
Absolutely.
Because I don't call wolf, I don't cry wolf, and I don't write checks I can't cash.
All right.
And if you want to take me on and have me stand in front of a jury, then bring it on, baby. I didn't start this fight, but I tell you, I am not going to cower from it. And how can I justify sitting at home? How can I justify staying at home when this is happening over and over? And I believe now that this is going to be most of my life's work. And Ms. Castile knows, and Alizé knows, I was grieving because I had just tragically lost my daughter-in-law, and I didn't know whether I could, do it. My son, whose wife died tragically, said, Mom, not only can you do it, you must do it. My other son said, Mom, we are behind you. And I told Valerie Castile, I told her that I used to say Philando could have been my son. I don't say that anymore. Philando was my son. Oscar was my son. Terrence was my brother. Eric was my son. We have got to understand that we are connected. And if we're quiet on this, have all the answers, but Lord knows I'm working really hard to get them. And this is not going to be the last you're going to hear from us.
That's right.
Because we've got a message, and it's got to be heard over and over. I'm sorry I didn't get to all the questions. If I could wrap this up by challenging us to not just curse at the TV, but I'm asking each of us to pay attention, to look at what needs to be done from the legislative side for our legislatures. And what we're going to do, thanks to you, my sister, we're going to get this think tank going. We're going to be talking to each of these people. And then we've got to have some central deposit for what to do. I got to go back here. I'm wrapping it up. I'm going. But we have to have a call to action of what we're going to do to hold people accountable, and we're going to start posting that. Does that make sense? May I thank each of the panelists. May I thank Ms. Carr, Eric Garner's mother, Ms. Castile, Philando Castile's mother, Dr. Crutcher, Terrence's sister, Ms. Johnson, who is Oscar Grant's mother. Thank you, my sisters. Thank you, thank you, thank you.